Everyone Sarnai? You've not come here for me today, have you? You've not come here for me today, have you? No, of course not. You ungrateful lot. Right, so then without any further ado, I would like to take this honor to invite on stage one of our brothers, someone whose life we were able to make an impact on. And I believe it's not just one life, but a whole series of lives from here on. Much of it was influenced by all those sermons that we started off many years ago at Sri Aranmatini. I remember some of your faces back from when we started all that. And then when the COVID pandemic struck, we had to take it all into the monastery. And then by popular demand, not for me, of course, but for the Dhamma, we needed a bigger space and more people wanted the Dhamma. So kind-hearted souls among you arranged for this venue, and all of these sermons, they kept being delivered and recorded and put online. We have sometimes no idea as to the impact of these sermons and how far wide they reach. And so, not in my wildest imaginations did I believe or expect our first foreign Anagarika Mahatya to come from Germany. But he did. And then a year on, today he has become one of us as a monastery. So it gives me the greatest honor, and it is my privilege to invite the Most Venerable Germany Maitri Andro to precept the audience, and I'm sure he'll have a few words of good advice that he'd like to share with you as well. So please, can we have you up on stage?
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Now I would like to take a few moments and share with you some small things I have in mind. I wanted to share with you how I came here, what motivated me to look for some answers in life, which I ultimately found when I found the Dhamma. At the time, a few years ago, maybe 6 years ago, when I was still a student in my university times, I didn't know that I was looking for the Dhamma itself. I just wanted to have some answers or some help, some tools to live my life happier than I had lived it up to that point. So at that time I was around 25 years. I can't say I experienced everything that life was still meant to offer, or what people told me I should do, and what many great things there were to do. But I had some experiences. One of the things that I experienced was people. That means I had friends, I had my family, and I also had relationships. And one thing that I found incredibly difficult sometimes, I'm not saying it's always difficult, but sometimes can be difficult, is to deal with other people. For example, with your partner. That was one experience that I made myself. I remember times when both of me as well as that other person, we had not seen each other for some times, for maybe a few weeks or months. And when you see each other, you come there and you would really like to do something. You would really like to maybe have a walk together. I remember that. But then when the other person has something else to do, when that other person has to maybe urgently study for an exam, then there's a clash of expectations, clash of interests. So I remember until today how incredibly difficult it was to manage such a situation, manage my own disappointments, to be okay and to really be happy for the other person, and to understand the other person and just let that person do what he or she wants to do. And not to suffer myself from disappointments. So I somehow understood that my love for other people is not really 100% pure, and I don't feel free inside. Sometimes I'm feeling like I depend on the other person and I can't do anything about that. I'm dependent on other people. Doesn't have to be my life partner or someone, just maybe my parents also. So sometimes I can't do without them, and sometimes I really want to be without them. So something very, very strange that happened to me was when I was with people a lot, I really wanted to be alone a lot. I mean, I really didn't want to be anymore too much around them. But when I was alone and I thought now I can be happy, after some times, I felt that now I really want to be with that person or some other people again. So then in the end, I really was puzzled by the question, now how should I live my life now? Should I be with someone or should I be alone? And what is the right way to live a happy life? And I couldn't find out the answers. I felt that whatever I was trying seemed to be good at the beginning, but after a while, some questions came back. And then you try to change and navigate and redirect your course of life. And you think now that's probably working very well. And at the beginning you think, yeah, that's the best. Now I found all the answers I need. But then again, after some time, new problems come, and problems that you have not seen before. So that's what I felt. I just wanted to find, how can I be someone who's able to have love towards others while being free, while being happy, and while being okay with anything that happens, whether I can be with that person on a day or not. If there is a day to spend together, I can be happy and enjoy that and give myself to the fullest for that person. But if there is a day where I have to be alone, I can be happy being alone also and not be unhappy at that time. So that's what I really wanted to find. And as I ask myself this question, what actually love means and what is the way to really be a loving person, I found more and more answers. And even sometimes I had people, and I really tried my best to be the best person I could be for others. I really tried to do that. Still, sometimes people told me, why are you acting in this way? Why are you doing that? And then I knew that something in me would, that I had some problems and flaws. I knew that, but I really didn't know how to come out of this. So, for example, I also remember my parents or other people. It is easy to see the flaws in others and to tell them what they should change. But the funny thing is that in all these 8 billion people around the world, we give each other advices, but are we really able to put these advices into practice? Because that's really, really difficult. I think without the Dhamma, it is very hard, if not to some extent impossible, to effectively change ourselves for the better. Because we might simply don't know how to do that. And we are torn between two parts. On one hand, we want to change. On one hand, we can't, or we struggle. So that's what my experience was. I wanted to be a good person to others, and I was a good person, definitely in the mundane, normal sense, as we all are, I'm sure. But still, sometimes I couldn't help myself and be sad or angry about people, or simply I had to be alone and I didn't want to spend time with others, or the other way around. So these were some of the things which motivated me to find some answers, and more I understood that the answers can be found in the Dhamma. First I studied some Western literature, and they brought me more closer to better answers. I understood more and more, and over the years, and as I was doing merits and meeting many people around the world, talking to them and their ideas, I found that everything comes together in this philosophy, and all the answers are there. Ultimately, it means to me understanding myself. So if you can understand yourself, why you feel the way you feel, and why you sometimes you're sad, sometimes you're happy, and how it all happens. That is what I understood. I have to do that. If I can understand myself, I can also be happy and good to other people. If I know who I am, I can be myself all the time with others. And then that is what real love means to me. And that's what I wanted to try and achieve in this life. Because I think that must be a life with meaning. That must be a life with purpose and with happiness. With harmony with others and harmony within myself as well. So over time, when I found these sermons on YouTube, after looking for some years, speaking to people recommending me things, I think the only reason why I managed to, what helped me get better answers, and therefore also what helped me to become more happy in my life, was simply I wanted to be, I didn't want to fake anything, and I wanted to really just honestly understand myself and other people and why they do things. So I was simply questioning openly. And because of that, I was getting better and better answers. So I think simply listening to others, I met so many people all over the world when I was traveling. and looking for answers, I always try to be as open as I can to listen to them and see if I can learn anything from them. And all of these different things, I was in Iran and I learned from things about Iranian hospitality and what love means to them in the rather Muslim context. I learned some things there, things that I never experienced when I was in Europe. And everywhere I went, I learned something. Ultimately, when I found the Dhamma, when I could understand this mind, my mind, how I work and what love means and how to actually practice love and be free according to the Dhamma, then when I understood this, I try to practice it as much as I can. And I think I made some good progress in that. First of all, the most important thing is this understanding itself. So when I understood, when you can understand the Dhamma to the extent that you know that your happiness cannot be given to you from others, and it can also not be taken from others, then you are significantly free to know that where the problems come from in your life and where you have to fix them. And then only it's about doing that. Then there's no other purpose in life anymore. And that itself is a tremendous relief, I think. Because then you know that the freedom is always there with you. You never lost it to anyone. And you can always regain it, just in a matter of one citta, actually. You just need to contemplate mindfully about the Dhamma, and there again your freedom is back. And if you stop doing that, therein you lose it. So it's not any engagement that we all have done in our lives, any commitments, any responsibilities that we have taken upon us, which made us lose our freedom. All of this might sometimes be a burden for the way we have to live our lives, but it's never necessarily a burden to our mind. So the freedom is always there, just a citta away. So that is understanding that and trying to practice that, I think, is the biggest meaning you can have. Because why? Because for me it means to become a person who's able to have pure love in his heart. And that's what I find, that's what I learned from my teachers and from the environment where I came to. I'm learning from them so that I can become such a person more and more and help others and just simply make a small change in the world in that direction. Whoever I come across, I just want to give that. Because I know that when I was a teacher in Germany, before I came here, I was a teacher and I met many children, and they are all, as we all do, we are all looking for happiness. We are looking for other people to be happy with. As I was a teenager, I was looking for someone simply to appreciate me, to show me what I can do, that I can do much more than I was able to do, and that what I thought about myself was not actually true, that I'm not good enough, not smart enough, maybe not beautiful enough, and all these things people put into our minds. And many people don't have that. Many children nowadays don't have that. It doesn't matter whether it's in Sri Lanka or in Germany. In Germany, I met so many children, and I can say they are living in wealthy circumstances, and they have materially they have a lot, but their parents are working all day because they have to afford all of this lifestyle. They're working a lot in order to provide material comfort for their children. Meanwhile, the parents are looking for love, and they try to get it by aspiring to a big career, by becoming an important person in their job, maybe. And then they don't have time for their children sometimes. And they might know that they should spend more time with the children, but also they can't help themselves. And the children, they are just looking for someone to show them the life and show them love. And they also don't have that. So when I was a teacher, I would feel that there's so much I can do and so much I can give. But I also understood that if only with the Dhamma I can give something which has a lasting impact. I mean, I can teach someone mathematics and tell him and build him up, empower him, but soon as I'm gone, I can never know how long is that impact going to last. It might be for a few years, it might be for one life. So with the Dhamma, the impact is much bigger, because once you understand this, you don't need anything else anymore. Just like my venerable teacher has told you all in the sermon a few weeks ago, the real love means when you give it to someone, and from that point onwards, that person doesn't need you anymore necessarily in his life or in her life. From there onwards, you have given something much more than what we are usually considering as love. That is how much more we can be able to love others. So that's my aspiration. So I didn't realize until now that I'm talking about it that my name sums it up in one way or another. That the name Maitri Ahamdru might have all of that. And I think that's good. And that's always for me an aspiration. So whenever there are problems on my path in monkhood, I took this name because I wanted that be a guiding direction for me and a foundation. So something where I can always check myself and I can see whether I'm living what I am calling myself or what people call me. And if I'm not, I can improve that. And I think that's a very meaningful life. And since I'm already, what I've seen so far is a big improvement and a tremendous relief from where I was when I started all of this a few years ago. Simply understanding the Dhamma and the amount that I have practiced it, and the way that I can have a meaning for my life and for others, how much I can give meaning to other people's lives by helping them and explaining them, as well as the meaning my life has gotten from the Dhamma itself. Other than that, I didn't know where I would have gone. It might have been a good place, might have been somewhere lost in the desert, quite literally, because I was traveling along a lot of times with bicycle. So I was in deserts, and I might have traveled many more years thinking that is what life should have been. But ultimately, I was running away from myself, and now I am finding myself. So I wish all of you have the chance, have the courage to try and understand and practice and find for yourself what real love means. Experience it for yourself and share it and live it with others as much as you can, because there's nothing better to do in life than this. So I wish you a good sermon, and thank you for listening. And may the Noble Triple Gem bless you.
See what noble association does to a human being? As I always say, People might come because they've heard a sermon, but they don't stay because they just heard one sermon or one voice. Home is wherever you find your heart. Here we have a man who comes from a very loving family. You heard from his mother the other day. And you could see the love and affection that she had, and she still has, for her loving son. So to convince that Mr. Daniel to stay at our monastery was a big ask of us, because it was a different culture, a wholly different environment. Everything was different, wasn't it? Different food, the environment, the climate, all of that was different. But as a community, all of us together, we were able to create home for him. And that has paid off.